on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to take a little bit of a different look. We are going to look at EWT / the US dollar pair. This is the Energy Web token, and this data is from Kraken. We are on TradingView. If you look up to the left-hand side of the screen, you can see it says Kraken and EWT / US dollar. Now, there are some other pairs. I am just going with the US dollar. And just a little heads up, I am not familiar with this project. I am just looking at this from a chart and a TA perspective. So if you take into consideration all of the other factors and projects, I am not doing that. So for whatever that's worth, just wanted to let you know that just looking at this from a chart perspective, I had a request from a viewer, and let's see what I can come up with here. I do see a couple interesting things so far on the chart anyway. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, welcome to Micro Futures Trader. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, join the community, and you'll be updated when we put out videos about crypto, stock, and all things like that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and welcome to the channel. Greatly appreciate all of the subscribers. So let's take a look here. We are at, we're on a daily chart. Like I said, we're on TradingView. Let's take a zoom in here to some more recent times. So we are in a, actually, we were in a, and potentially still are, a downtrend. So we basically double topped over here. So that was, looks like the early part of December. Put in a double top, and then the trend has moved to the downside. I mean, you could call this a lower low and maybe a lower high, but either way, the trend is clearly going south, so to the downside. And then we had this big washout move. The big washout move where all the markets bottom so far anyways, I say, on the 24th of February. So like many other stocks and cryptos, that was the bottom, at least for now anyways, on the 24th of February. And as I had mentioned in other videos and other projects, that we started to see a change in trend. And what I mean by that is you'll go from lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then you'll go up to, so this is still nothing but a lower high here, but where it got interesting is right here was a higher low. So it was higher than the 24th of February low, and that to me is a sign of a change in trend. And since we were going in a downtrend, the change in trend would be now to the upside, or at least in the very early stages, potentially to an upside trend change. So we had that higher low. Now that definitely took a couple days, if not longer, and then we started to move higher. And so far, this is a higher high, and it looks like we're in the process somewhere in this area of printing a higher low. So let me clean this up a little bit. So we had the higher low get printed right here. It looks like it took at least a week, if not longer. And once you get that higher low and you start to move higher here, you should really be looking for the next move, which is a higher high. So basically a print above this high, which it looks like up in here we did get. So that is a confirmed uptrend. Whether it holds or not, time will tell. And what I mean by that is if this low gets undercut by this move, that is no longer a uptrend. The trend has been broken and potentially back into a downtrend. Now, it doesn't all happen in one move, although of course it could. So you'll get that lower low, which is undercutting this low. And then where things really start to heat up is when you get that reaction move to the upside. That is a lower high. And usually the party is over and you'll really roll over after that, confirming a new lower low. But where we're sitting at right now for EWT, Energy Web Token, is basically anywhere in here, we could print a higher low, and then the next move, take a guess, would be a higher high. So we'd be looking for another move to the upside, printing a high basically above this, and then we really have a nice strong change in trend. So downtrends are lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and so on. And the opposite of that would be an uptrend. So an uptrend would be, well, it starts off with a it still starts off with a lower high, although it could go right up to a higher high. But it seems like when these moves take their time, it starts off with a lower high, and then the warning sign, the notification that you should be seeing is that higher low. And when you get that higher low print, I think a good example is Tesla stock. I'll have to go back and look, is that next move after you print that higher low is usually quite strong, and that gives you that higher high. So it's a stair step to the upside and usually an elevator to the downside. So right now for today, looks like Energy Web Token is down 0.1%. Not too big of a deal. Looks like a lot of the markets are struggling right now. A lot of them are sitting at Fibonacci levels, although it looks quite different here for Energy Web Token. But so that's what I see. I don't see any trouble right now. I see a change to the upside, a trend change, and we are just looking for a higher low to be printed. So just like when this pullback happened right in here in, looks like March, we were just waiting to see that confirmation that a higher low was printed and to not undercut that low. We want that low to hold, and obviously it has so far. So the same thing here, we're getting that pullback, and we are just looking for this thing to find a floor of support, which will probably come in right in this $5.20 range, or perhaps a little bit lower down in here, $4.80, give or take. The key is to not undercut these lows over here. At least that is what I see and the way I look at it. And of course, none of this is financial advice. So as always, do your own research. Just wanted to share kind of what I see on the charts here and potentially what could unfold and what has unfolded in the past. So that's kind of what I see basically in this area right in here. Let's take a different look. Let's throw some Fibonacci's on the chart and see if we can come up with anything. So what we'll do is we'll take this swing high here, which looks like that was the 3rd of December, right around, we'll take the wick high right around, what was that high there? 15 bucks? Of course it was 15 bucks. 15 bucks, give or take. We'll take the candle wick low, which looks like it was around $4.12, give or take some change. So just taking that measured move from that high of 15 down to 4, what can we see? Well, just like a lot of other cryptos, Casper being one of them. I will have a video coming out of Casper shortly. Casper, as well as Energy Web Token, has found resistance off of this measured move at the 0.236 Fibonacci level. And you can see that is the yellow line on my chart. And you can see we moved up bumped our head, and now we are trying to find some support in this area. Hopefully these projects do find support somewhere, creating another higher low. But you can see just bumping our head here on a fib level. And if we look over a little bit to the past times, you could see that on the same measured move, although we didn't have this low yet, we had a low over in here. You could see that it struggled once again at that same, looks like it was almost a $7 area. So once we print a higher low, assuming we do, somewhere in here, you could see that our next area to get back above is this right around this. Oh, it's not $7, it's $6.60. So right around this $6.60, $6.70 area will be the next area that this thing has to break above. And then obviously moving higher, you can see the fib levels at the 8, 10, 12, and $15 area. And before we jump back into that, you could see that, zoom out here, that there is a little bit of a floor of support for EWT. This move is down in here for some support. And then it looks like potentially have another one over in here, which also correlates with, let me zoom in. So that area of potential support, it's not that great, but it could be an area, correlates with this high over here. So a pullback to that, it looks like it's a $5.30 range. That could be a potential area this thing could pull back to. So we could pull back to in here, which I had mentioned before, which correlates with these highs before starting to move higher and get above that fib level, which also correlates with this high. So as I've mentioned before, some things just take longer than you expect, and usually that's the way it is in the markets, and you just have to have patience and have some targets on the charts, at least I do, of where price is most likely to go, the path of least resistance. And until that is no longer there, we think there is no reason to change your opinion on whether it's a stock or a crypto. Like, you should have gotten into a project or a stock or a futures position for a certain reason, and until that reason is no longer there, you should probably not change that position. Of course, just my opinion. So, two areas of support down in here. Oops, sorry about that. Down in here, which correlates with, so you have a double bottom basically down in here, like a lot of the other markets did. And then almost where we're at, you got some support down in here at that other area, which correlates with more of these lows over here. All right, let's take a look at one more thing here, wrap this video up. Keeping in mind that I am not familiar with this project, I am just looking at this from a TA perspective. So we'll throw those fibs back up on here, right around that $15 range, right around to this $4 and give or take 10 or 11 cents, right around there. That'll work. So you can see all of the upper areas for the fibs. Oh, I do want to mention that, keep in mind that this asset, using this measured move here from the 15 to 4, is under the 236 Fibonacci level, and history tells us that when projects, cryptos, stocks, whatever it may be, are under the 236, they are potentially in a great area to accumulate because they have much upside to go. So for whatever that's worth, keep that in mind, that anywhere under this 236 is potentially a great area and you're getting a great price. So keep that in mind. All of these upper fib levels, like I have mentioned, and when we zoom out is when things get quite interesting. Let me move this chart a bit. So you could see moving up to these upper fib levels, 16, 26, 36, 42. You can check out these moves from where we're at now. So right now we're at $5. It looks like $5.50. And the 16 is a $21 EWT. A 26 is a $32. 36 is $43. And a 42 gets us up to that $50 EWT. And what does that correlate with? Well, it's quite interesting how it works. So the 4.2 fib level, which is up in here. Let me try to get rid of that. The 4236 fib level up in here also correlates with this wick over in here. Quite interesting how these numbers work in the markets, and history shows that these big wicks, as crazy as they look and may seem, prices tend to go back and get back to the highs of those wicks. Will it happen in a day? Probably not. Could it? Well, of course it could. But you could see, lay the fibs on the chart. And I just use this swing high to the swing low, 15 to $4. And it lays you out some good targets on your charts for potential areas that different stocks and cryptos can get to. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. EWT / the US dollar using Kraken, and we are on TradingView. So I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to check out this videos. Let me know your thoughts down in the video comments on EWT or whatever's on your mind. I will get back to all of you. I enjoy reading those and seeing what everybody is up to and their thoughts. As always, links in the video description to our Patreon page. Right-hand side of the screen at the bottom, just wanted to share with you that we had a little bit more fear, obviously, in the crypto markets yesterday. Markets are down. Some projects are getting hit a little bit, and you can see that with the move down in the fear and greed down to a 48. Still not too much validity on that. It's more of a good indicator when you're sitting at extremes. So either extreme greed or extreme fear. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day. Thanks once again. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this video. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, take care.